In CELPIP Speaking Task 2, the personal experience task, they give us 30 seconds to read the question and maybe write some notes, and then 60 seconds to tell the story of our experience. Let's listen to a sample answer together and pay attention to the timer. There's something interesting in this answer. So this happened in Toronto, the first time I went there on my own, about 3 years ago. I came out of Union Station around 9 at night and I turned the wrong way. When I looked at my phone, the battery was at 2%, and then the screen just went black in my hand. I remember standing there holding a dead phone, and the street signs all said names I had never heard of. After that, I walked for maybe 20 minutes in completely the wrong direction, and it started raining. And I kept thinking, my hotel is 4 blocks away and I cannot find 4 blocks. Once I saw a coffee shop that was still open. I went in and asked the woman behind the counter, and she drew me a map on a napkin. I still have that napkin because I very love it and I think it can. Well, as you saw, this answer was kind of cut off in the middle. But I can tell you, according to CELPIP official documentation, this answer can get a perfect score too. So in CELPIP Task 2 in speaking, we are not going to be that worried about the ending. There are many other things we should be worried. So wait until the end of the video, because in this video, I'm going to teach you what to write in those 30 seconds of planning. Next to that, what words and sentences to use to increase our level, and one instruction according to the official CELPIP documentation that I haven't seen many people teach it, and it helps your speaking task to improve very much. Before going to the parts, let's first look at the question we saw the answer for. This question is part of our tons of sample questions on CELTESTPIP. Let's see what it says. You see, it says talk about an experience of getting lost in an unfamiliar place. And look at the last line, because it asks us 3 things. You see, it asks what happened, how did you feel, and why is it memorable to you? Well, like all of other speaking tasks, the first thing is that we learn what to write, what notes to write before starting to speak. And this is the first thing I tell my students to learn, what to write, how to write notes for each CELPIP speaking tasks. Let's see how we can write notes for the task 2. You can see the notes I wrote for that question here. As you can see, the first line is the setup and it's only 3 words. Lost, Toronto, first time alone. And look at the second line. It's the story. And as you can see, I just drew some arrows, not sentences. You see, station, wrong way, phone dead, rain, coffee shop. And these arrows do something for us, because when we look at arrows while we speak, our mouth kind of reaches for words like then and after that and once. We try to find words that connect sentences and stories together. And look at the third line of my note. It says, feel dead phone in my hand. And why did I write it like this? For example, if I wrote scared in that part and I would just say I was scared, you would just hear one word and the rater examiner would hear the same. But when I say I was standing with a dead phone in my hand, you will feel my feeling as well. And this is the part that's going to change your score. And look at the fourth line. It says only napkin. And this is the thing I still have from that night. And when I look at this, I can say in my answer why that night is still memorable to me. Maybe you, like many of my students, are going to say, my life is kind of boring. I don't have many experiences or stories to say in CELPIP Task 2, but I can say there's instruction for that as well. You can make up a story. You know, you don't need to be honest and tell real stories about your experiences. The thing that CELPIP cares about is your English, not your life. And tell me in the comments, is it hard for you to make up stories in exams like CELPIP? Because you need to make up a story very fast. Do you have any strategy for that? Write it in the comments for others to learn. Well, after writing the note, like many other tasks, it's a time for vocabulary, for the words. How can we use words that increase our level in CELPIP Speaking Task 2? I have some suggestions. Let's look at them. When we see many answers that get about 8, 9, or 10, and we compare them to the ones that get 12, we don't see that much of difference in vocabulary, but there are small words that can change a lot. The ones that get about 9 write words like and, but, so, because. But when you look at the ones with perfect score, we see that they have used when, the first time, started, from there, once, and then. You see, both of them have kind of same meaning, that these two lists are good English, both of them. But the difference is that the first ones are somehow just gluing some sentences together, but the second list somehow tells us how the story is going. It kind of creates a flow in our story. Don't forget, in this task, we are telling an experience, we are telling a story. Well, let's go back to our answer and see how I use those words in my answer. The first time I went there, when I looked at my phone, and then the screen went black. After that, I walked for 20 minutes. Once I saw a coffee shop. You see, these are 5 sequencers connecting phrases in 60 seconds, and I can say it creates a flow, a story in your answer. Another thing that is very, very important, I can say in all of CELPIP questions, especially tasks, I mean writing and speaking, is giving precise details, mentioning some names, some numbers. As you listen in my answer, I have named some real places and I have used some real numbers. Let's review them again. I did not say a station, I said Union Station. I did not say it was late. I said around 9 at night. I did not say my battery was low. I said 2%. And I did not say she helped me. I said she drew me a map on a napkin. As you see again, none of them are difficult words. They are precise details only. And about difficult words, I have another video about vocabulary in CELPIP, especially in writing and speaking. I will put the link in the description, and also here. I suggest you watch it and learn how to change the words, what words to use and what words not to use in your CELPIP writing and speaking. Well, I think now you are kind of ready to practice. You know how to write notes, you know the structure, you know the vocabulary. It's time to go to CELTESTPIP.com. If you just register with a normal account, you can access one free sample question in our bank of questions, Speaking Task 2. You can open it, check the question, answer, and see the instant AI feedback. It gives you a feedback that tells you what parts are wrong and how you can improve your answer. Besides, if you subscribe and upgrade your account, you can have access to tens of sample questions in CELPIP Speaking Task 2 and thousands of questions in other parts of CELPIP. Well, now is the time for the part I promised you. If you look at the official documents of CELPIP for how to increase your Speaking Task 2 level, there are many instructions, and one of them says you need to get your listener to feel how you felt in that experience. And to be honest, I have looked at many templates that are published online for teaching this task, and I can say almost none of them mentions this instruction. And it's something easy. It's kind of storytelling. Well, how do we do it? It's kind of, again, I repeat, it's kind of a storytelling. For example, for your feeling, you don't just mention an emotion. For example, scared, afraid, terrified. No, let's see how we change them so the listener will feel how we felt. Instead of I was very scared, you can say I was standing there holding a dead phone. Instead of I was so happy, we can say I called my mother before I even left the building. And instead of I felt embarrassed, we can say I could hear the whole table go quiet. And as you can see in these phrases, we do two things together. We add some details and we somehow convey the emotion, convey the feeling to the listener. Well, and now let's just review some small things. Many templates tell you that at the end of your speaking task 2, you need to mention the lesson you learned from that experience. Well, I have some disagreements with this claim. I don't completely say that is a wrong suggestion, but when you look at the questions, even the ones published by the official sources, you don't see that kind of questions, mentioning that you have to tell the lesson you learned. The things that question needs are very clear. Sometimes it just says, tell a story, unexpected story, experience, what happened to you, how you felt, and why it is memorable to you. Many of them are repeated in many sample questions. But only if the question asks you to talk about the lesson you learned, yes, you can mention that lesson. But if it doesn't mention, there's no need to be focused and worried about that. Let's look at another example. Just imagine I'm focused on telling what I learned, and look at this answer now. I want to talk about a time when I got lost. It was in Toronto and it was my first time there. I came out of the station and I went the wrong way. My phone was dead, so I could not use the map. I was very scared and very confused. I walked around for a long time and I could not find my hotel. Then I found a coffee shop and I asked someone and they helped me. Finally, I found my hotel. This experience taught me that I should always carry a power bank. Next time I will make sure my phone is charged before I go somewhere new. Well, we still had many seconds and we didn't fulfill the question. We didn't put enough details, we didn't convey the feeling, we just mentioned a lesson. And the question was not asking for any lesson. This is the mistake that many people make, and it's going to cost them some marks and maybe decrease their levels in speaking. So I repeat again, if the question is not asking you for a lesson you learned from that experience, there's no need to be focused on that. Just work on the notes and the instructions I told you. Let's go back to the answer I showed you in the beginning of the video. What did we do there? We answered the three main questions of the task. What happened? The wrong turn, the dead phone, the coffee shop. How did I feel? I conveyed it through the details. And why is it memorable? I mentioned the napkin. That's it. Well, let's put it back together. First, in the 30 seconds we have, we answer some simple questions. When, what, where, who. We write some keywords for them. And we connect them together with sequence words. When, then, once, after that. The next important part is that we make them feel how we felt, not just mentioning the name of the emotion. Telling details to convey the feeling, and keep going about the details. Even if the clock stops, don't worry. If you answer everything in the question, it's going to be fine. Well, again, as I always say, learning these techniques and trying to memorize them completely only can be achieved via practicing as much as you can. Go to CELTESTPIP.com and choose one of the many questions available in CELPIP Speaking Task 2. Try to answer following the instructions we learned in this video. Then check your answers, learn from the feedbacks, and repeat and repeat and repeat. This video is part of our CELPIP Speaking free course on CELTESTPIP. We also have free courses for writing, listening, reading, and many more topics that can help you increase your level in CELPIP. As I always say, never stop practicing. See you soon.